Hello everybody from the Viking Line ferry terminal in Stockholm. Just come down here on a bus. Yeah, it's freezing, but yeah, it's warm inside, and that is where I'm going in a short while to check in for my Viking Line evening cruise on the Viking Glory, which is supposed to be an amazing ferry, more like a cruise ship apparently. And we're going to be sailing all the way over to Turku in Finland, and then coming back on a journey which is going to take about 23 hours. I've got a cabin on board, and I've got one or two little extras planned as well, so why don't you come with me? We're going to go and check in, do all the necessary stuff, and once that's done, I'll see you on board. The nearest metro stations are Slussen or Medborgarplatsen, Platsen, but they're at least a 20-minute walk away, maybe even more to be honest. Just take the bus from Stockholm city centre to London Viadukten, which drops you off on the road next to the ferry terminal. Easy. I made my way into the quite busy terminal building, which serves as a check-in area for both Viking Line and Birka, which was the ferry already in port you will have just seen. The ship was heading out to Mariehamn, the capital of Åland, this evening, and our ship was due to leave at 2000, but as per usual I was way too early for the departure. But I like to be on the safe side, and I just spent some time having a look around the terminal. There's a model of our ship here which is interesting, and there's automatic and regular check-in booths, toilets, and a couple of vending machines, and most importantly, the heating was on. At around 6:15 we were called to check in. I used one of the staffed counters where my ID was checked and boarding card issued. A simple and efficient process this. I then made my way towards the electronic gate line, where I scanned my boarding card and headed up the escalator to the first floor departure lounge. Right guys, so we went through to, I guess what you would call the departure lounge after scanning our boarding cards. Got another hour or so to wait here upstairs in the terminal because yeah, boarding it's showing there as 19:30. And I'm not surprised by that at all, to be honest, because the ship, last time I looked on Ship Finder, is miles away still. So they must have a pretty quick turnaround for such a large vessel as well. But well, we'll see if that happens, won't we? So yeah, I guess I'll see you in about an hour. There is a proper cafe bar up here in departures. It's not cheap, but it does prepare you for the prices on board, I guess. And boarding was on time at 19:30. I joined a bit of a scrum to go through onto the passenger walkway that leads to the Viking Line's MS Viking Glory. Entering the ship on deck 6, there was a member of the crew on hand to help if needed, but I sort of knew where I was heading to at this point. Well, I knew which deck I was on anyway, so I took the stairs up to deck 7 here, where I eventually found my cabin for the crossing 7601. Alright guys, we made it onto Viking Line's MS Viking Glory. So cabin tonight, I have booked an inside double. And what does that mean to you? 2 berth, maybe 2 bunk beds, something like that. Well, how about this for a double? I don't think that's too bad, is it? I'm going to sleep well tonight. I'm pretty tired, I've got to admit. And yeah, I've literally just walked into the cabin, so we have a TV up there, a large TV actually, up in the corner. And it all looks very nice, doesn't it? It's a double bed. Are they expecting 2 people? Well, it's just me tonight, so I've got the whole bed to myself, which is good to know, isn't it? We've got individual reading lights here and European style plug sockets there. Telephone, which I'm assuming you can use to call reception. TV remote control. Heating controls there. Haven't been in the bathroom yet. Let's have a little look. Oh, actually, this is not bad at all. I was expecting the typical ferry kind of shower that sticks to you when you're in the shower kind of arrangement, but no, this is rather nice, isn't it? And let's just have a little peek in the door. Shut the door behind me. Yeah, very nice, very nice. And you can wipe the floor yourself by the looks of it. Everything is clean and tidy, soap dispenser, and yeah, everything else is what you would probably expect from a ferry bathroom. And just moving out here, we have another mirror And kind of a dressing table, isn't it, really? With stool and table that looks like it's come from IKEA or something like that, but that's absolutely fine. A hairdryer, coat hangers, the usual thing. What's that? Something to do with the door, isn't it? Okay, so I'm tired. I'm a little bit hungry as well. The issue I've got here is that it's like there's so much stuff on this ship. It's going to be very difficult to cover everything and decide what to do for the best, really. But yeah, wish me luck. I'm going to head out. I think the plan for tonight, because it's getting on towards 8 o'clock, that's departure time. We're going to have some dinner. We're going to check out some of the entertainment, I think, because it's obviously it's dark. It's been dark for a while. Then in the morning, we're going to have a look at the outside deck space and some of the scenery, hopefully around Turku and beyond. So yeah, I'm going to get changed. We're going to head out for dinner somewhere, don't know where yet, and I'll see you there. The magnet holds the cabin door open, by the way. You should leave it open when you vacate so that housekeeping can access for cleaning. So first thing I did was study a deck plan, and then I decided to take one of the very posh lifts up towards the top of the ship. Oh, it's hard to imagine this as a ferry, isn't it? There's so much choice. I'm heading up to deck 10, where we should find some food options. So let's go and have a look. There was the buffet here at the front of the ship up on deck 10, open from 2100 hours this evening. Price was €45, and note that beverages are also included in the price. Mimi's restaurant, which is next door, was closed for the night, and I don't know why. It looked quite nice inside, but yeah, I only got as far as peering through the window on this particular trip. I know some of you recommended going to the buffet, but to get good value from it, I would have been in there all night drinking, and that would not have been conducive to a thorough review of the rest of the ship's evening entertainment and facilities. So I went for the market, where there were several food outlets offering various choices of food. It was like a kind of a fish restaurant, a pizza place, Scandinavian food, etc. And it's all displayed on these digital screens here. I made my choice, I paid my money, and I found a nice quiet spot to sit and wait. Right, guys, I'll tell you what. Yeah, there's lots of things to see and do, and lots of places to go and eat, and then you kind of look at the menu, and then the food comes from various different outlets. I've chosen the meatballs tonight. They come from Bread and Greens, but you can't order it there. You have to go to the bar or the bakery, and then they give you one of these. So when that buzzes, then I'll just go up to Bread and Greens and pick that up, and I'll show you what it's like. I don't know how long it's going to be. But it's reasonably busy at the moment, but I bet it gets a lot busier than this. But yeah, we'll carry on and see what turns up. Right, guys, well, it took about 10 minutes for the buzzer to go off, and I went and got my meatballs and mashed potatoes, a can of Coke, €19 for the lot. It's not extortionate, it's not cheap. It's in the middle, isn't it? Very prices in this part of the world, I should add as well. Yeah, it looks good. The branding is on point. So yeah, I'm going to get stuck in, and I will speak to you again, give you my verdict when I've finished. Yeah, just to add, and you've probably gathered that food is cooked to order here, hence the initial wait. Right, guys, yeah, so an empty plate, apart from the lingonberries. Apologies for that. Yeah, it was really nice and really tasty. Probably the best meatballs I have had. That includes other ferries, and of course, when I've been to IKEA in Birmingham. Right, anyway, the next thing for me to do, and there's plenty to do, is I'm going to head down that way. I can hear some piano in the background. Check out some of the entertainment. I don't know what we've got in store tonight. All I know is there is lots of it. So let's see what we can sample. Well, just behind me, where I was sitting, there was a balcony that overlooked the stage on deck 9, where pianist Linda was playing. I headed down there and found myself in the Tordiet Cafe and Bar, where there is table seating arranged around the stage. And behind that is the actual cafe bar, and further back the guest services stroke information desk, which I thought was a little bit tucked away really, and that maybe should have been at the centre of everything, but then maybe this was the centre of everything. I wasn't quite sure, to be honest. There was a kind of a quiet area behind this with comfy sofas and the like, and then after that a closed off area that was used for conferences. Well, at this point I needed some fresh air, so I decided to make my way up to deck 11 and head towards the stern, where I knew from the ship plan that there was an outside area. Freezing cold of course, but I did need a bit of a breather. Right guys, made it up to deck 11 and an area called the terrace, which I guess is a bit of a covered but outdoor sort of area. It's actually snowing at the moment, so I'm not going to go any further. I must admit, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed by it. I've never been on a cruise, but I can imagine that this is kind of a little bit how it must be. You know, when you kind of first get on the ship, and then there's so much to do, so many things to see, so many places to go, and you just don't know where to start, and it certainly feels like that tonight. But we will press on, and I'm going to try and find somewhere to get a drink actually now, so yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of places, so yeah, let's go back inside. Seeing as I was on deck 11, it made sense to head back towards the front of the ship and have a drink in the Cobba restaurant and bar. Now, I think this is probably the most formal and expensive dining area on the ship. Obviously I'd already eaten, but you can just walk in and order a drink, as I'd seen others were doing. But after standing at the bar for 5 minutes being totally ignored by quite a few staff that were present, I just decided to go elsewhere. A quick "we'll be with you as soon as we can" kind of comment would have sufficed, so yeah, it wasn't a good experience, and in my opinion, staff need more training in customer service in this part of the ship. I headed for the Vista Room Club on deck 10, which is the main entertainment and bar area. To get there, you walk through this kind of gambling room with slot machines mainly, and then you have a proper casino area with a couple of tables to your left. A live band was on at the time I went in, Combo Granberg, who were a decent enough covers band. The stage area was large enough and the sound was good. It didn't have the open theatre feel of some ships I've been on, like the Sicilia Serenade for example. It's more of a cosy lounge vibe in my opinion. I had a Murphy's, which at €6.49 was a tad expensive for a can poured into a glass. The glass floor in this area was a nice touch, and the seating was plentiful and comfortable. There is also a small area here called Algoth's Bar. No idea what it was like in there, as it was closed at the time of my trip. Behind the Vista Room Club was the small but well soundproofed Vista Lounge. The bar again was closed in here, but they did put on some karaoke on the small stage. After the band had finished their second of 3 sets today, some guy came on playing tunes and singing over the top of them, and that was my cue to leave, so I headed back down to deck 9 and the cafe bar for a nightcap, a beer and a Jägermeister for €9.90. Well, that wasn't too bad in price. And in complete contrast to the Cobba restaurant, the bar staff were friendly and chatty. The pianist was good at playing requests and interacting with the passengers. It's nowhere near as big a stage area as the Vista Room Club, is it here? But yeah, clever use of mirrors gives it quite an open feel. Half an hour was enough for me, and after a very long day, I decided to head back to my cabin for, hopefully, a good night's sleep. Right guys, that's it for tonight. I am so tired. It has been a massive day. Yeah, just gone 11 o'clock in the PM, and I'm going to get some shut-eye, hopefully. This bed feels really comfortable, so I'll catch you in the morning, and yeah, until then, good night. Right guys, so I decided to partake in the buffet breakfast, which was €20 adult, and yeah, so we're starting off with just a couple of pastries, coffee and some juice. Well, I don't really eat a lot for breakfast, but I thought I'd come here anyway to show you guys what it's like. So I will progress through various plates of things as we go on. Well, I moved tables because the view from here is much better, isn't it? See, we're heading out there through the islands and islets. No snow about, but you know, it's looking a bit grey. There's not much sun about either.
But yeah, we're making progress, and I'm going to get stuck in now to the main course of the breakfast, the hot food. Looks pretty nice actually, so I'll give you my report when I've finished. Well, yeah, finished that. It was rather nice. A star of the show actually was the cheese and ham pie thing. Yeah, nice. Now then, I've moved on to. Let's get rid of that. It's like rice pudding with some like strawberry in some kind of horrible syrupy thing, and some like fruit. It looks like it's come out of a can. So I'm going to try this. We could do with some proper fruit actually. I haven't seen any yet, but I'll try this and then go back on the hunt. Right, fourth course. I thought I'd try some porridge, and yeah, I was looking for some fruit, and they don't have much fruit. I've got some watermelon here, and there was another kind of melon, some like orange pieces, and there's no yoghurt. I was really surprised at that actually. No yoghurt on a ship that's sailing from Sweden to Finland. So yeah, after this I think that's going to be it for me, really. And like I said before, I shall give you my verdict when I've finished.
So heading for the exit here, and in my opinion the breakfast experience wasn't that great, considering how large the self-serve counters are. Well, I thought the choice, especially healthy options, was surprisingly limited. What happened to all the fruit? And coffee, that was absolutely rubbish. Just a basic machine that made one type of coffee, and no cappuccino, decaf or anything like that. And was it worth the money? Maybe just about, considering where we were, but I've had a lot better breakfast than this on a ship. A lot better. Anyway, as you can see, it was light outside. Now, by the time I got out of bed this morning and had my breakfast, we'd already been to Turku and we were starting to head back. Apologies if I missed anything you especially wanted to see at the port, but we were there pretty early in the morning and there was limited daylight at this time of year, as you can imagine, so yeah, there wasn't a great deal to see. Also, for those of us passengers that were on the evening mini cruise, there's no disembarkation or embarkation in Turku itself. It is literally straight there and back. It was cold and grey outside, but I was determined to explore the outside deck space as best I could. On decks 6 and 7 there is access to both port and starboard sides of the ship. There is a lot of cover at the sides, so it is great on a day like this where the rain is relentless, but you still want to enjoy the views and be in the fresh air at the same time. Up on deck 11, on the sun deck, there is lots of open space. Look at the size of the funnel, by the way. I'll be giving you lots of detail on the Viking Glory a little bit later on. And a small thing to note is the deck itself, which is mainly in this kind of sand colour, which I thought added a touch of class to the ship. And furthermore, at the stern of what is called the Vista deck, it's laid out with this wooden feel, and there's some really nice seating which looks extra special when it gets dark again a little bit later on. With the flag of Finland flapping in the wind, I was glad of the additional shelter down here on this part of the ship.
I know what you're thinking. Yeah, and I should have done it in the summer, maybe. But at least it's quiet, isn't it? That's one thing. So yeah, just out here now on I've no idea what deck I'm on now. I'm on the Vista deck according to that, which is, let me think, is that deck 10? Oh, anyway, there's plenty of outdoor deck space, as I'm sure you've already seen, and I will continue to explore. Just hope the rain keeps off a little bit. It was predicting snow for this morning, but that hasn't really happened, which is a bit of a shame. There's a bit of a smattering on some of the islands, but yeah, we'll press on, won't we?
Yeah, and due to the inclement weather, I thought it best to disappear back into the ship and have a look at some of the areas I hadn't yet covered. The biggest of these was, of course, Shopping World down on deck 9. You know a shop on a ship is going to be large when you see proper shopping trolleys outside. And inside it had everything you would expect. Perfumes, clothing, alcohol, you know, all the usual stuff. They had 2 of my favourite whiskies and some very expensive whiskies for sale. They were also offering samples of rum, but it was a little bit too early for me. I was looking for a postcard of the ship, but instead I found one of the Viking Grace, which was a bit random. They did have a fridge magnet of the Glory though, so I got one of those instead. And outside the shop you have a long corridor with some lockers in it, and quite a sizable games room with plenty of arcade machines in it, and my personal favourite when travelling alone, air hockey. I thought I'd go to the hangout zone, still on deck 9, but I was too old and not cool enough to get in. Well, for the purposes of this video, I had a quick look anyway, and then I scurried away before anybody saw me. There is a large kids playroom adjacent to this, which I didn't film for obvious reasons.
Right guys, I am back outside because, believe it or not, the sun is out and there are blue skies all around, which is great, isn't it? Because earlier on, it was really quite miserable coming out of Turku, but yeah, I came out here and took some shots thinking that was the best I was going to get, and I've had to come back at you and do a load of those again. But yeah, the blue skies, it's very photogenic, so a fantastic place and some beautiful scenery as the ship winds its way through all these little islets and islands on the archipelago. Absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? So I'm going to take a few more shots and enjoy the scenery.
At approximately 1400 hours we were approaching Mariehamn, Åland. The light was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it? And I would have stayed out on deck to watch us arrive, but I had a 2-hour spa session booked between 2 and 4 and I wanted to make the most of it. And I paid €19 for this as an add-on when purchasing the mini cruise, and I'm glad I did. Walk-up price was €32. Plenty of lockers available. I was quickly into my provided robe and made my way into the Archipelago Spa and Wellness, located at the front of the ship on deck 11. There's a couple of jacuzzis in here and a kind of relaxation pool, would you call it? And with the big windows, I didn't really miss much of what was going on outside anyway. And I could see that the Viking Grace was also in port this afternoon, and I must admit it was a lot nicer watching her from the comfort of the hot tub compared to being out on deck. And there's also a couple of saunas in here, a snow cave, a steam room, and some kind of area where if you pulled on a chain, a bucket of cold water would empty onto your head. And I think you're supposed to do everything in a particular order, and I'm sure you will let me know what order it is in the comments below. As you can see, the Viking Grace was leaving port before us, and it was almost time for me to leave the spa. I could have stayed in there all day, to be honest, but I thought I'd head back out on deck whilst there was still a little bit of light to enjoy the scenery once again. A couple of things worth mentioning. Wi-Fi, well, there's none of this silly €3 for an hour or €10 for 5 hours and all that kind of stuff. It was completely free all of the time, and it connected straight away with the usual YouTube test working perfectly and other social media sites also working well. Why can't all ferry operators do this? Well done, Viking Line. And the stability of the ship on this crossing was exceptional, I thought. Granted, the sea state was calm, but you couldn't even feel it was moving. The crew and the entertainers on board were pretty good, friendly and helpful, apart from my experience in what I thought was the rather pretentious Cobber restaurant. I had a nice chat with several, and the service was top notch. I would also recommend my cabin. It was small but really comfortable, and it makes a big difference having a double bed, doesn't it? I had a great night's sleep and a really good shower in the morning.
Right guys, well, as you can see, we are coming to the end of another day, and they don't last very long at this time of year in this part of the world, do they? And I'll tell you what, it's blooming freezing at the moment. Mind you, it was lovely and warm in the spa earlier on. That was a highlight of the trip. Anyway, about 3.5 hours to run until Stockholm, and when I get there I shall be heading to my hotel, which, believe it or not, is actually a boat. Yeah, so anyway, it looks really interesting. So yeah, when I get there I shall be summarising the journey. So I'm just going to chill out now for a bit, have some dinner, and I'll see you back in Stockholm.
As you can see, we were now in Stockholm and already disembarking the ship. My second dinner of the trip, incidentally, had been fish and chips and a glass of wine. €39. That's expensive, isn't it? But the wine cost €16 on its own. I just had the one. But you know what? I had a great trip overall, and so I did allow myself this one little luxury. And talking about costs, let's have a look at what I've paid for this Viking Line mini cruise. Well, in total it came to €127, and that was for the inside double bed cabin you saw earlier on, and also included the 2-hour spa session, which was €19. And I think that's pretty good value overall, and obviously Viking Line, they'll hope you spend much more money on the ship, and in that respect, yeah, I did spend an additional €92, which was mainly on food and drink. So yeah, a grand total of €219. And you know, if you skip the spa session, you get a cheaper cabin and possibly save a little bit on food and drink. Well, you can do it for well under €200, but yeah, why bother? I didn't worry about sticking to a budget on this trip, to be honest. Okay, a few things weren't open, but I still had a good time. I really did enjoy the experience. Boarding yesterday was efficient, as was the disembarkation here, which is just down the walkway and the escalator, and that brings you back into the terminal building. You're then quickly back outside, where you can head up to the bus stop, and I left the same way as I'd arrived. Easy. The bus dropped me fairly close to my accommodation for the next couple of nights, which, as I said earlier, was a boat. Den Boden, the red boat. As you can see, it was pretty cold in Stockholm tonight, but after I checked in and warmed up, I just took a couple of minutes to summarise the journey.
Right guys, in my boatel in the centre of Stockholm, and what did you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. I really enjoyed it. I was a bit shocked when I got on. It felt like a cruise ship. I've never been on a cruise ship, but it kind of had that sort of vibe to it, and I wasn't really sure where to go and what to do first, but I eventually found my way around, and yeah, overall, inside and out, well, outdoor deck space was great, wasn't it? Although there weren't any sort of views across the bow, unless you went in the buffet restaurant or the posh restaurant upon deck 11. But yeah, talking about restaurants, they weren't all open, but I guess that's a kind of a out of season type thing, isn't it? And what was open, there were decent enough choices, really.
The food was tasty enough. Prices, well, they were a little bit on the expensive side, as to be expected probably. A, it's a ferry, and B, we're in Scandinavia. But yeah, the crew were friendly, actually, really friendly. So I was pleased about that. And yeah, overall, would I do it again? And the answer is definitely yes. And probably, yeah, I would pick a date when it's a little bit warmer. I think that would be a good idea. But yeah, and it wasn't particularly busy really, and that was fine. But here's the bombshell. A great trip, a fantastic ship. In my opinion, it's not as good as the Silvia Serenade. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I still think from the ferries I've tried, and they're the two main ones really, that is still the best one on the Baltic Sea, in my opinion. But like I said, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want to have a look at that video, guys, then click on the link on the screen now. I'd like to thank you all for watching. I really appreciate your support. As always, I hope you can join me on another adventure soon. And until then, guys, as always, cheers for now.